Hello, my name is Marcos Farias and welcome to a new episode of Lean Logistics Podcast. Today we're gonna talk about the 7 wastes in logistics. Before I start, please subscribe in our YouTube channel and our podcast Lean Logistics. Do you know the Lean concept of 7 wastes? But how we can apply this concept in logistics? This is our discussion today. So let's see how is it possible to do it, to apply the 7 waste concept in logistics. First of all, let's remember the concepts. This concept is based on Japanese word muda, that means waste. So the whole idea is to categorize these wastes in different areas, so should be more easier to focus on the solution by eliminating or reducing the wastes. Let's take a look on each category. So first we have transport, that is all the waste regarding to transport a material from point A to point B. Next one is the inventory, that is related to all waste inventory in any level. Following, we have motion, sometimes called movement, that's regarding all unnecessary movement to perform an operation. Next one is waiting, that is every time that someone is waiting instead of working. Following, we have overprocessing, when you do several processes unnecessary. We still have overproduction, when we produce more than the necessary. And finally, defects. That is the mistakes that errors or defect in your operation or product or service. But is it possible to relate these 7 wastes at logistics? Yes, of course. Maybe you have heard about these 7 wastes more focused on production lines, industries, or other not directly related process. But this concept can be applicable and, most important, generate excellent results at your logistics operation. So let's discuss this relation one by one. First, for transportation. Usually logistics is totally related to transportation. Depending on the operation that you are handling, the logistics of transportation is essential to the business. But how this can be considered as a waste? Easy. Every time that you do unnecessary transportation, or if you take more time consuming more fuel, or even with lower transportation occupation, you are generating wastes. So to avoid or eliminate this waste, you need to take a look in your transportation planning, roads, trucks and containers efficiency, and everything that could generate extra costs. Next one is inventory. Usually inventory by itself is a waste, because the customer pays for the product. The amount of material, work in process, or any kind of inventory that you need to order in order to fulfill an order from your customer is your responsibility. Let's take an example. If you own a bakery and you have to buy flour to make bread, the customer pays for the bread. If you have 10 pounds or 100 pounds of flour as inventory, it doesn't matter. This will be your cost. So less inventory you have, more efficient you can be. Of course, it's more easier to see the impact on working capital. So the cost of the material in your budget, in your material cost. But not only, if you consider that logistics also needs to handle this material. So we also need additional space, additional equipment, or anything else to manage the inventory. So all of this is cost, and all of this is waste. So more inventory you have, more cost you have, not only the cost of the inventory itself, but all the related operation to manage and to handle this. Following, we have the motion, also called movement, as I already said. This waste can be confused with transportation, but is different. The idea here is to refer to all movement done by a person or equipment to do a process, but not optimize it. For example, if you have an operation that requires a label, but the printer for this label is far from the operation itself, and the storekeeper needs to walk to print the label and return to the operation to attach it. this can be considered a waste. If the operator do this process several times per day, maybe we can think in change the printer location for near the operation, or even is more cheaper to buy a new printer for that operation. If you count the amount of time wasted in the movement done every day and put this in a year perspective, you will see the amount of waste of time. Next one is waiting. In summary, every time that you have someone waiting for a previous process or any kind of wait, this is considered a waste. In logistics, we can see this kind of waste when you have an operation waiting for a forklift, or a storekeeper waiting for another operator in order to finalize this his process, and anything like that. So when you have someone waiting for some process that is not maybe balanced well or things like that, this is considered a waste of time, and time is money, I would say. Following, we have the overprocessing. This waste occurs when you have several unnecessary processes. In logistics, we can see this waste when you have several operators doing the same process, like labeling, conference of material, packaging, or any type of activity done more than once. Maybe do it to a not balanced process, or even for excess of carrying. I already saw an operation where there were 3 different conferences of the same product due to a complaint from a customer. Even so, the complaints remained not ended. So the problem was not the conference itself, and we didn't find the root cause of the problem. So we did 3 times conference, but without result, and the only result is waste of overprocessing. Next one is overproduction. This waste is related to when you produce more than necessary. So this is related usually to production process, but directly affect logistics because generates the same impact of inventory as we already said. In consequence, we have more space, a risk of obsolescence, and other additional costs. Last one is defects. So we are talking about mistakes in the operation and can be present in all areas. Every time you have a mistake, an error, a defective product or service. In logistics, every time that we have a failure like a wrong delivery, delays, mistakes on labeling, etc., this can be considered a waste. Sometimes it's not only a matter of cost, but also the customer satisfaction, because logistics usually is the face directly with customer, and if you have defects or mistake in this phase, this can affect your product or service reputation. So it's very important to take care about the defects and to avoid errors and mistakes. Okay, so beyond the 7 wastes that we see here, there are some writers that consider more wastes like energy, people, and others. Of course, we can apply this new concept in our business because the target in the end is to avoid any kind of wastes. So now that you know all the 7 wastes and how to evaluate this in logistics, the next step will be treat all of these in your operation. My recommendation is to start by evaluating step by step the business. There are some tools that can support you on this journey, like the Muda Walk concept, that is a Japanese concept of basically walking around in your process. So maybe you can get your team and define a specific operation to evaluate each day and do a walking around, or like in Japanese word is Gemba. And is not a simple walk. The idea is to focus on operation. Everybody will write down what they can see of waste in the process and classifying this waste in a simple or complex waste. A simple waste means that can be solved quickly, maybe in the same day or in the next days. And a complex waste means that this required a deep evaluation, maybe a workshop or a Kaizen, investment and additional time to solution. After that, you can follow up this in the next days and plan a continuous improvement cycle process, so you can follow up this in an open issues with your team. Another way to perform a waste evaluation is using a tool called Value Stream Mapping, or VSM. This tool is a more complex approach with focus on non-add values operations. I will link in the description of this episode some examples of VSM available on the internet, and maybe you can follow it as a reference. But in summary, is a tool that you can map all the process that you have, identify where is your bottlenecks, where you are losing added value, and focus on the main tasks to support and to avoid or to solve these kind of issues that you have in your operation. If you want a specific episode talking about this tool, please let me know in the comments and we can prepare a specific detailed episode about the VSM initiative. Yeah? So we can see there are many different ways to treat wastes, and we can start step by step. The most important message is start. So start easily, step by step, and you have a good result. You will be able to improve your business and increase the added value. Before finishing, what do you think about today's episode? Let me know in the comments if you agree with these ways, and even so if you see another ways that maybe I didn't mention, or another approach on to solve these ways and more related to logistics. I look forward to your opinion. Maybe we can do a specific episode for each waste and go more deeply on each situation with more examples. Let me know if you would like to see and to hear this episode. Please don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. Share with your friends if you think it will be usable. Thank you for watching today and listening until here, and see you in the next episode.